Welcome to making a watercolor collage part 2. Here are our abstract pieces from the last video. We're going to leave the background taped to the board and we're going to put it aside right now. This is the first project we did in the last video. We're going to need a metal ruler like that, or any plastic or heavy-duty wooden ruler will work too. If it has a metal edge, that is fantastic. It's something that you can have a firm grip on, because what we're going to do is decal the edges, and that is we need an edge to pull it against, and we're just going to tear off the white part. The white part is where the masking tape was covering yesterday, and we're just going to remove those. And if you have to tear off some of the painting just to get a better grip, that is absolutely okay. And last side. And this is called decaling, where you tear it off. All right, check that out. Nice edges. So now we're going to do it face down so we don't overthink about tearing it up. So we're going to tear it up in strips to start, and holding it down, yep, that makes it a lot easier. And what we're going to do is make sure they are parallel, because what we want to end up is with squares and rectangles. So do slightly different widths. We don't have to measure it out. We can eyeball it. There we go. Just put strips to the side. We're going to keep everything face down. Because sometimes when you have a favorite part, it is hard to work around it. So now we're going to make it into squares and rectangles, keeping everything face down. And if your paper's not too thick, you can do 2 at a time. But I realized it was hard with the watercolor paper to get a really nice edge on there because the ruler slipped a little bit. Yep, press down and just pull it. And no worries if your tears are not perfect. It will all look fantastic when it's done. And oops, you don't want the smallest one to be any less than 1 by 1 inch. It's just going to be hard to glue, and visually it might get a little busy. There we go. All right, we're going to mix it up. What we need is just regular stick glue, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit, because the stick glue, you got to press it down after each one just to make sure it is down. So starting with 4. And I'm squaring all these up with the edges of the paper, which with all the lines and everything we did on the torn pieces yesterday, it's just going to give a really neat look. And then some of the colors on the large piece of paper, the bottom is going to show through. And we're going to do it out to the edges, the whole thing. And this is the best way I have found to press it down. And also, don't overthink where you're putting any of these pieces. You're not going to plan it out. You're just going to go bam and put it down. And that's what I do. I use my forearm because it's warm and it's a little bit wider and you can have even weight and you can also lean your elbow against it and it sticks. But you do want to give it some time. So speeding this up a little bit, otherwise you just watch me stand here watching glue dry. And the last couple of pieces. And parchment paper. If you have that at home, you can let this dry overnight, put a piece of parchment paper on there and put a heavy book. Or ask somebody to just run a hot iron over it, and that way all the glue is dry. All the moisture from the glue has evaporated and none of the paper is going to curl up. Both ways work really, really well. If you're going to leave it overnight, just have some patience. So everything should be stuck down. And the parchment paper, if you put a large book on it, it's just to keep the book from getting glued to your artwork. So just make sure you have wax paper works too, but I like parchment paper better. So there we go. Everything is stuck down. And that's it. And so I would take the tape off. Quick close-up look. Now when you take the masking tape off, make sure you pull it away from the artwork. Otherwise, if it does get a little snag on there, it does not tear it. And notice the ones with the funky tears, I just put them outside. I'm going to cut them off. But see how all the edges of the torn paper matches up? That's why we took off the white in the beginning. And that's it. A nice piece of abstract artwork made by you. Thank you for watching.